this time every year. Mike Cook, of course, joining us in studio. Mike, great to see you. Thanks for coming in today.
Thanks for having me, Gary.
Now, you're here for what reason?
Oh gosh, music and a firefighter event. Tonight I'm going to be a guest at the River Arts Center, which is the old Martin Morris building downtown. It's actually in the basement. It's called The Basement. And so, yeah, Louisiana Swamp Pop is going to be on display tonight for everybody to enjoy.
We were visiting certainly before we came on air, and I didn't realize you are like a session musician. You're still very active on the music scene.
Music scene, I'm in and out of the studio all the time. I just got some three or four songs that were just sent to me on my phone from the one Cajun band leader that I play with, and I got proof that stuff. I'm impressed so far what we've recorded. New original stuff, new material, good stuff.
So what time does everything get started this evening in downtown Clinton for you?
Oh gosh. Basically, I'll probably go on around 6:30. My good friend Gary Burgess always has a prelude of music beforehand, of a mix of that, get everybody warmed up, and yeah, it's going to be serious swamp pop about 6:30.
So we're both kind of getting up there a little bit. Still some of the old friends going to be able to make this?
I hope so, doggone it, yeah.
You sent me some information, and it's a shame that we lost Ralph Mays and then a roadie.
Yeah, that's right.
Pat Dermody. Talk about roadies.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Yeah, our two roadies, Bob Carmody, Pat Dermody, classmates of mine from St. Mary's, and they just had a passion for music like we did, and neither could play an instrument, but they had tremendous record collections and things like that. And so one thing led to another, and Pat's dad had a van that we could use on the weekend, and so we would load and go, and yeah, they were just part of us for all these years.
That's interesting. We were talking about the fact that Brian Wilson had just passed away, and you said he was a bit of an influence. You, of course, a keyboardist. Talk about that.
Oh, gosh. Well, first of all, the Beach Boys were actually influenced in their harmonies by a group called the Rivingtons, basically sort of like classmate type guys of theirs, and they heard their harmonies. And so the Beach Boys took it a step further. And then I think the other thing the Beach Boys did was they really introduced California to the rest of the nation, what life was like in California back then.
And it's interesting, Paul McCartney, the Beatles, John Lennon, talking about the influence that the Beach Boys had on them.
Oh, well, this is true. I mean, the Beach Boys, especially when that Pet Sounds album came out, they had it was eclectic, I guess, for the word, for both instruments and for approaches to writing original music.
You were somewhat of a music prodigy. I know you got started at a very young age.
Oh, yeah.
What records did you have when you were growing up?
Oh my gosh! I guess my biggest influence is I love things like the Animals. I guess probably really caught my attention. That they had a very polished keyboard player that did very innovative things. I like Paul Revere, his style of course, Paul was influenced by rhythm and blues, and it showed. And that's where I kind of got hooked. And of course, I listened to a lot of jazz organists too and everything. But I wanted to stay inspired, and I didn't want to sound like every other keyboard player. So I spent a lot of time, especially once the Moog synthesizer came on the scene. I would listen to guitar players, and then I would try and mimic their sounds on the Moog, and I just took off from there.
So, but you also played in church.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, I still play in church every Sunday. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the Hammond organ has been, I got introduced to that at 4th grade, and I never slowed down.
What's it? I have no music talent whatsoever. What's the difference between an organ and a piano? Which do you prefer playing? Do you play the piano?
I play the piano a lot. Yeah, I do a lot of piano work.
I imagine different sound.
Yeah, different touch and that. Yeah, the piano is more of a percussive instrument, if I could say that, and the organ, of course, is well, you can make the organ percussive, but the organ is more of like it's always been a supporting instrument, but through the years, with the advent of the Leslie speaker that swirls and everything like that, it creates a very strong lead instrument sound. And I use that, I get a lot of calls to help other bands in Louisiana because they know my Hammond organ work is top shelf. if I can say
visiting-
that.
You are. We're visiting with Mike Cook, of course, Iowa Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Are you in the Louisiana Music Hall of Fame? Do they have such a thing?
They have one. I haven't been inducted yet there. 2 years ago, I got inducted shortly after Jerry Lee Lewis's funeral. Got inducted to the Mississippi Music Hall of Fame. Oh yeah.
Oh, that's right. You and Jerry Lee Lewis have a
No, we have
connection.
quite a connection there too. Oh yeah, Jerry Lee and that. Yeah, yeah. And I stay in touch with his nieces, and once a year we go to the grave site, and I bring my accordion and do Amazing Grace. Yeah, yeah. And I do it. And I do a lot of Jerry Lee Lewis tribute shows, different places. Some of the bands I play in, people see me, know me, and they start yelling, "We want to hear Jerry Lee," and of course I play Jerry Lee. Going to play some tonight.
Oh, very good. So, you, of course, a firefighter, music, you were in Vietnam. What has influenced you most in your life, do you feel, Mike? Tough question.
It is a tough question. Good people. I like people who are spirited. I like people who are happy, and that's who I guess motivates me. You look at my circle of friends, and I got a tremendous circle here. Through my life. I don't know. That's a complicated question.
I mean, you were in Vietnam.
Right.
What was that time like? And you kind of chronicled your time in Vietnam. You got a book.
I got a book. That's correct. Okay, Vietnam. Yes. A couple of things I did when I was in war. I didn't smoke pot or get stoned or buzzed out, for my time over there. I prayed a lot, and when I came home, I used that time, all of my experiences, the busy fire and emergency calls that we had to support our soldiers, and especially when the base was getting rocketed and things like that. I turned all that around, and that experience there made me who I am today.
Have you ever written any original music?
I have. I've got several things in the can. I haven't put them out there yet. I think it's all timing, but the music that I have written and it's sitting in the can, it's like, whoa. I have like 33 songs in the can. I haven't released them yet because I'm too perfect. I don't know if I want to release them. I sound too perfect in the studio. My CD album that is out, that's all a live show, and I like that because it's imperfect.
So, do you write the lyrics and then put the music to it, or does the music influence what the lyrics might
The music
be?
actually influences the music. I just wrote a new song called Fire Call, and it has nothing to do with fighting fire. It's about a hot girlfriend I met.
So you see combinations like, Bernie Taupin and Elton John. What were some of the great, do you think, songwriters and musicians?
Yeah, I had no idea that Bernie and Elton John were so actually very much polar opposites, because here one would write the words, and then Elton, of course, would have to take them words and figure out, God, how am I going to make a song with all these words? That is I had no idea that was so extreme, because there was no real dialogue. Bernie would just knock out a page or two of words, give it to Elton, and disappear. Ooh, wow, there's no influence, no discussion at that point forward.
That is interesting. Talk about your book, and you say you've got a second book underway.
I have a second book underway, yes I do. It's going to be called Florian and the Firemen of Rome. First of all, nobody ever really told the story of where the firemen came from. Everybody thinks, well, Benjamin Franklin was the first fireman, and that's hardly... There's no truth to that. Benjamin was an organizer of the fire brigades of Philadelphia, but he was not a firefighter, never held a hose or anything like that. But I'm going back to Roman times and what it was like, and I'm going to tell a lot about Roman life back then, too. It's going to be an interesting read. And my publisher is jumping up and down. They can't wait for me to finish the book.
How do you research something like that?
It's very difficult, because I have to go into Latin languages and that and find things, and then I have to use other books and resource it. The book is going to be half fiction, half nonfiction, because I'm going to have to put myself in the shoes of this he was the patron saint of firemen. I'm going to have to put myself in his shoes and kind of create how firefighting was done back then, even though I have a lot of Roman history to support this.
Do you consider yourself a Renaissance man, Mike? I mean, you've got your hands, your fingers in so many different areas.
Oh, I know. That term has been applied to me for a long time.
So again, tonight, talk again about the basement.
Yeah.
People, I mean, does there interaction between you and the audience at all?
Oh, gosh,
something
yeah,
like this?
yeah.
Because it seems like it's a pretty intimate setting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. The people that come there, most of them I know. Otherwise, I get to meet new people and make new friends. And I talk to the crowd and listen to them. And of course, they'll say someone will grab me before I get on the stage and say, "Remember, I want to hear this, this, and this." I'll say, "Okay, I'll get your song to you."
And now you're going to be going on to Peatone, Illinois for a firefighter event. Unfortunately, you
Right.
didn't make it to Iowa.
Yeah.
Kind of a miscommunication.
Yeah, they
there.
gave me the wrong dates.
So what's going on in Illinois?
Illinois. Believe it or not, it is, I haven't been there for several years. They used to hold this event at the Chicago Fire Academy. It's a kind of a muster and a fire flea market where you have a lot of antique apparatus on display. You get to meet a lot of old buddies. And then there's always vendors and fire equipment. And there's some pretty novel things I pick up. And then there's quite a few antique vendors there. And I use a lot of the antiques that I've collected through the years at these places for ceremonies in my work as a chaplain. Because as soon as I get back, we got to bury one of our fort firemen. He passed away unexpectedly. So we have a nice ceremony set up for him.
A final question for you. Firefighters, certainly big part of your life.
Big time.
Music, certainly
Big
a
time.
big part of your life. So when you get together with either faction, because I can't imagine there's too many people like you who are a firefighter
Probably not.
and a musician. So who do you enjoy interacting with the most, the firefighters or the musicians?
Oh my God, it's a blend of both because I think both of us like to live life to the extreme.
Who's got the better stories?
Who's got the better stories? Oh my God, I don't know. we all can get spicy at times.
Okay. So again, this evening, downtown club,
Yeah,
the basement. What time's everything starting?
Oh, right around 6:30. Gary will probably be on. In fact, depending if we have an early crowd, Gary could start his music, probably warm up music. What do you think? 5:30, huh?
There he is. He looks pretty relaxed right now.
Yeah, he's relaxed.
Thank
Maybe
you.
even a little before.
Thank you both for coming. Great to see
Thank
you
you,
again,
Gary.
Mike.
Right now, the Dan Patrick Show.
Dan Patrick.